Stop the genocide. Israel's the new Nazi Germany. History repeats itself. What? Who? The people who were nearly exterminated in the largest genocide in history? The people who were attacked and their citizens taken away as hostages? The people who do more to warn civilians in war zones than any other nation in history? That's genocide? Welcome back, and thank you for wanting to know the facts and the truth. What's going on in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is big. You can't miss it on the news. You can't miss it on college campuses, and you really can't miss it online. But what are the facts? Why is this happening? That's what we're here to answer. Our approach is to examine the major themes and focus on the important events that help you make sense of what's happening today. We care about knowing the truth. We also care about the basic human right to live in peace. We care about ending the suffering. We care about finding justice. And we think you're here because you do too. The only path for us then is to go after the facts and be open to what they show us. Life can be beautiful without hatred, violence, and war, and maybe the way there starts with better understanding each other. Better understanding the Jewish people, the Palestinian people, the history of their conflicts and past peace efforts, and some of the major issues standing in the way of forging real peace. What the Hell is Going On in Gaza is a 9-part series made up of 30 episodes, each designed to help you understand a different but important part of the picture. As part 1 of our series concludes, our focus stays on answering basic questions about Israel, one more time. In earlier episodes, we looked at the questions, are Jews indigenous to Israel? Are Jews white colonizers? Is Israel an apartheid state? Does Israel want peace? And centuries of peace or persecution? Here in episode 6, we'll tackle the question, is this genocide or self-defense? Let's look at the facts and uncover what the truth is. The accusations of genocide against Israel are everywhere today. Every protest in America, Europe, and everywhere else in the world uses the term as if it's obvious and completely certain. They're constant, but they're just not true. It's propaganda, intended to antagonize Jews, diminish their experience, and eliminate any sympathy for them. Let's talk about why. Number 1, the population growth among Palestinians is not consistent with being victims of genocide. In the Holocaust, the Rwandan genocide, the Armenian genocide, and the Cambodian genocide, in each case, a population was decimated. In the case of Palestinians, the population has grown nearly 5-fold. And ethnic cleansing? If it happened to anyone in this conflict, it was the Jews, not the Palestinians. Before 1948, the number of Jews across the Arab world was nearly 1 million. It's down almost 99% today. At the same time, the number of Arabs in Israel grew more than 13-fold, from 156,000 to 2.1 million, and the number of Arabs in Gaza grew more than 25-fold, from 80,000 to 2 million. When there are fewer Jews in the world today than there were before World War II, but there are many times more Palestinians than there were 75 years ago, then that just isn't a genocide. It's appropriation of the word for PR and political purposes. Reason number 2 why it isn't genocide. Palestinians have the ability to stay alive simply by not trying to kill more Israelis. That is completely within their power. On the other hand, Israelis can only stay alive if they fight the terrorists who are trying to kill them. Is it really credible to believe that the tiny country on this map is the problem? That it's an unstoppable threat to the surrounding Arab world? That it's a bloodthirsty, genocidal monster hell-bent on ethnic cleansing? Let alone an ethnic cleansing of the very people who live safely as 21% of its citizens and serve in its military, its government, and its courts? Reason number 3 why it isn't a genocide is that genocide requires intent. If Israel's intent was to commit genocide in Gaza, it wouldn't warn civilians in advance of its military actions. It wouldn't protect humanitarian corridors. It wouldn't facilitate food and aid to Palestinian civilians. And it wouldn't establish daily humanitarian pauses in the fighting. Did the Nazis do any of this for the Jews during the Holocaust? Did the Hutus in Rwanda do any of this for the Tutsis? Did the Muslim Ottomans do any of this for the Armenian Christians? Did the Khmer Rouge do any of this for the Cambodian people? The answer is no, but Israel does it because Israel is not committing a genocide. We know it's hard to look at and think about these horrors, but we have to. To accuse Israel of genocide, we have to look at what genocide is, and we have to look at what genocide isn't. Let's summarize. The Palestinian population has grown significantly, and 2 million Arabs live safely as Israeli citizens with equal rights. There's no evidence of intent. In fact, Israel has never initiated a war. It's only been attacked over and over. It is fully within the control of Palestinians to end the violence with Israel. Stop attacking and trying to kill Israelis. That's not genocide. Well, this brings us to the end of part 1, Questions about Israel, which tells you what we tried to do. Share with you some basic facts to help you understand more than just what you hear shouted at protests and on social media. Let's talk about the main things we learned. We learned that there is overwhelming historical evidence proving it is Jews who are the indigenous people of the land of Israel, while Arabs arrived some 1,700 years after the founding of the Kingdom of Israel. There is no real debate about this. We learned that the majority of Israel's Jews are Middle Eastern and Ethiopian, not European whites. And Israel's population is more than 20% Arab, not exactly the picture of white European colonizers. We learned that all citizens of Israel have equal rights. There is no apartheid in Israel. We learned that Israel has always wanted and always tried to achieve peace. We learned that it is a myth that Jews lived peacefully and happily under Arab rule before 1948. Jews suffered for centuries under the region's Arab conquerors. We learned that Palestinian Arab populations have grown more than 5-fold since 1948. This fact, combined with the clear proof that there is no intent by Israel to kill off the Palestinians, prove that the charge of genocide is absurd. Thanks again for watching our series, What the Hell is Going On in Gaza? We hope these facts in part 1 were helpful in moving beyond the false claims we hear far too often about Jews in Israel. If you'd like to leave a comment or get in touch, visit our website at www.getthefactsmiddleeast.com. There's still a lot more to learn in this series, so we hope you'll go on to part 2, where we'll explore some basic questions about Hamas and dig into the facts for you. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate your interest in learning more about the war in Gaza. And remember, where there is no knowledge, there can be no insight.